Welcome to another modular only video. The last one was actually quite popular, so I figured that I'd do another one. So I'm just going to play a little taste of it, probably like the first 24 bars, and then I'll briefly go over the patches with it. So here we go. And then it pretty much just goes like that with, certain elements taking over and then leaving. Oh, the last part is just the perks. So I'm going to start actually from the bottom this time because some of the more interesting stuff is over here, and then it gets to just the percussion. So let's just start off with the very top part. This is just the Kill Bill thing, same as last time. It uses the pitch and the FM to kind of get a lot of that real screamy thing, and there's quite a slow lag processor on it, which has it glide, that portamento effect on here. But the difference is you can only hear the wee, the upwards, not this. It's just that sound. So what I did was automate. So if you look at this, there's a yellow box on there. That means I automated in the pattern mode. So if we go down here, I have a volume thing for it. So it silences the bottom one. And then when it's time to go lag process up, that's when the volume kicks in. So that's how I did that effect on here. Let's go to the next one, the perks. So the perks are actually quite interesting. You can make perks just super duper easy with just a sine wave or a triangle wave and a decay. Sounds like this. Oh wait, this is pretty low. So I'm going to show you a kind of difference, which is, I felt that was kind of weird. Let's actually go over the patch. So it's a sine wave pitched up an octave, and then a triangle wave, just a regular octave on here, and each is going through its own little filter. I could have just, now that I look at it, I was probably doing something weird where I pretty much doubled my work. I could have just ran both of these through a mixer and just used the one decay, because if you look at both decays, they're the same. Both the filters are the same, and I ran it through a mixer on here. So I'm going to show you real quick how to make a really quick perk. All you got to do is use just a sine wave in a decay envelope and just run it right like this. Oh wait, no, that's not decay. Sorry. Decay envelope. And then drop this right there. Bring it in the mod, and then just straight out. And then what you have is, and what you want to do is probably run a reverb to it. Quite generous reverb. You can bring it to triangle. Gives it more kind of like a cowbell, perky sound. So, but watch the difference. So this is just a decay to a sine wave. We could actually pitch it up. Now listen to the difference of what it sounds like when you do it through a subsynth. So I actually have a preset that I made, perks. Listen to this. Wait. Let me put a reverb on it, so it's going to be the same. Reverb. Now we can get pitch. It's like a wood block. And look, it's just pitched up an octave to a sine wave and the decay. So listen to the difference between a C5, maybe even a C6. Now go to this one, which is pitched up an octave, C5. Much brighter, C6. Much brighter. It gives it more of like a wood block effect for some reason. I don't know why, but that's how you can quickly make a perk. The melody, I love this melody. So the real magic here is through that pulse width modulation. So I'm just running each one sine wave, little bit over a sawtooth, and a pulse width with it all the way up, just running through a mixer and a filter, and then straight out. That's what I did for the melody on that. 808, very simple. Just a sine wave with this pitched decay to the pitch to add a transient to the beginning. This one's strictly for the body, so if you listen to it, actually let me turn the... Whoops, let's go down. Let's actually add some distortion so you guys can hear it. So this actually controls the body of it. Now watch when you bring it down. Whoops. And if you bring it like up, that's the length of it. This, watch, it'll dip now. That's how long it takes to get from here back down to 0 on there. So that's the 808, just running through a saturator and a low pass filter. Let's go to the next one. Bass. I love this bass. Let me drop down octave. I'm getting distortion without actually having to use distortion on here. And it's all about the pulse width, because a pulse width is basically a square wave. And what happens when you add distortion to something? It chops it off, or it rounds it. It shapes the actual waveform on here. So listen to it with just this. Now watch what happens when I take this out. Much different. That's how I got the that kind of buzzy effect with that. And other than that, it's just set up, just straight up, just running through mixers and a cutoff filter and low pass filter, and going straight out. That's how I did the bass on here. Every time you want to add like a little bit of like a clean sine wave, lower octave sine wave, just add a sub oscillator. That's all that is. And just run it directly out to a mixer, so nothing else is affecting it. So that's a good way to add some lower end to like a bass if you're making it, or to anything if you need that. Cymbal. This is the only one that I didn't patch myself. This was actually a preset that I got probably from Single Cell Software, and it sounds like this. It's beautiful sound, and I actually have the width on the mixer. Cymbal, yeah, see the width. Now you can hear it. It's centered. It's just running. Oh, no, this is stereo, but still it's centered. But if you take the width on it and just bring it over, gives it that huge stereo field. So if you take a look at this, all it is white noise going into a crossover. I think this would be a crossover, right? Crossover splitter. And then you can split it from high and low frequencies. So that's all they did. They took the white noise, because white noise is all the frequencies. So if you take that, it's, they might call this bright white. That might be like bright white noise. And then they're running it through a filter on here, and it looks like it's a low-pass filter, because all the filters are low-pass except for the, like all these are all low-pass, except for the state variable filter, which has a high-pass, what's it called on it, option or bandpass on there. So they're running that through a low-pass filter, which is, it's weird if you think about it. It's like if this is supposed to only be the high frequencies, and there's a low-pass on here, don't you figure there wouldn't be anything left? I don't know. Maybe it's not doing anything to the frequencies because it's not affecting it because it's, I don't know. I guess it does cut it off. And then it's actually going through another filter on here and then into a decay. And then, oh, no, the res is decayed on that. Okay. So, anyways, yeah, this wasn't my patch, so I'm sorry if I didn't explain it super clear. Let's go to this one, to the stick. So this is actually has a lot in common with the snare that I used on here, and you can get a lot of cool sounds by routing the white noise and the pink noise, and you can see that each one is going to a different filter on here. So depending on where that filter is set, you're going to get kind of like a weird thing going on, and it's decayed. This is small decay on. That's why you're only getting a. That's what happens if it's longer. So. And just put it to basically wherever you want it. And then just running through a mixer and then out. So it's actually quite simple. And then put it on exponential for the decay. Yeah. I just call that stick. It's a hi-hat. Noise. So with this, I actually blended this noise with the snare. And the snare is basically the same as the stick. What's going on, it's just set to different parameters on here. I'm only using the white noise on here, and then the decay is set to exponential, but I also added a waveform generator to it that gives it kind of like that almost drum effect to it. So if we take this out, wait, what's going on? Hear the difference? It's just noise, but if you add this, it gives it that snare effect to it, and it's just running through different filters in a saturator, and then straight out, and then added this on top of it. So every time the snare hits, so does this, and it kind of just gives it an extra. I just thought that it sounded better with it, and then this is just pink noise that's decayed to right here, but I didn't put it on exponential. Here are the differences. So that's the snare. And then with the kick, nothing special. I actually don't really like the sound of this kick. Let's drop this down an octave. It's kind of, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. It needs more of a snap. Like, so in my regular version of this song, I actually used this on top of another drum sample. So it really gives it that snap, that kind of higher pitch. It sounds just kind of boxy. I don't really quite enjoy it. And then I also added a clap on top of the other one. I used the sub-synth with the perks too on it. But with it, for the sake of this video, I wanted to just represent everything with the modular to show you that it's possible. So all this is just like the 808. Remember how I taught you that this is the dip on it used for the transient? Here's the difference. Gives it more of that punch, and this is the body. So this is basically the 808. Watch this. We have an 808 now, but drop it down to this, and then run it through a low-pass filter into a saturator, and then out. So that's how I created all this. But now if we look down at the effects rack on here, we can look that, yes, I did add some fuzz and a compressor to the kick, reverb to the snare. I high-filtered that pink noise on here, added some distortion to the stick. nothing to the cymbal, and then the bass in the 808 I side chain to the kick. But notice that the attack isn't like all the way down. So if you bring it up, it's letting that first initial punch of the bass and the 808 through, and then it clamps on and drops it down. So if we hit play, like somewhere in the middle of the song, let's just play it here. You can see what it's doing. See, when the thing goes up, it's clamping down, but not until after the first part of that sound hits in. So if you want the whole thing to be compressed, put the attack down all the way. But if you want that first kind of burst of your transient to go through, leave the attack up a little bit on there. Put a distortion to the 808. The melody is has a reverb and a delay to it. The percs has a reverb. This Kill Bill is just compressed. I wanted it to actually be sidechained, but I didn't like the sound because sometimes the kick hits multiple times, and this is just a wah noise when I just wanted the very first part of it to be compressed. So I just threw a compressor on here to do that. There's other ways I could have done that, but I was lazy and just did it this way. As always, you want to separate your frequencies. So stuff that has no bass in it, you want to drop the bass. So like the bass, the 808, and the kick can kind of all live together in their own area, while everything else is just doing whatever. The stick was a bit kind of pitchy to me. It was kind of a little bit harsh, so I dropped the highs a little bit on it and just kind of, just EQ'd everything to taste. See, look, melody has no lower frequencies in it. And now I want to do a video strictly just addressing what these are doing. So the bass is basically probably like 30 hertz to 250. Actually, let's look at this, because I think this is exactly what I did on here. So if we look at my parametric EQ, I separate it. See, the blue is low. The mid-range is pretty much 250 to probably 5K, a little over 4K, maybe 4.5K, and then the highs are this. So that's basically how the thing works with these EQs. The bass is only from 250 all the way down, and that's what sucks about it. So like, oh, you want to drop some of the bass, but like, say you only want around like the 100 to 200 range on it, it sucks because it's going to affect everything on there. And the 200s, like in the mids, are like from 250 to like 4,000. Highs are 4,000 and up. So that's kind of how the EQ works on that. I use this distortion pretty much as a pre-gain, small amount of distortion just to add a little bit harmonics. It makes the whole track louder. This is post is pretty much pre-gain to the limiter, so the limiter can clamp on and do what it wants. I should have just bypassed both of these, and then if we play something that's loud, you can see the thing, how it's working. Limiter isn't working too hard. I can actually probably turn this up and have it being squished about halfway. Too much, I mean, I think anything really over like halfway, it starts to kind of affect the sound on it. But as long as you have the right release on it, I feel that it can be a lot more giving if you drop the release on instead of having it all the way up, so it's not just squishing it super hard like for a long time. So that's pretty much how I made the sound. So if you guys want to download this and study it, feel free to go to the description of this video and do that. Also, I dropped the room size down on the reverb and put the high frequency dampening on here. I usually always recommend putting high frequency dampening on there because this reverb's kind of funky sometimes. So anyways, yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.